Part 1. When a technology is still special.
There is a strange thing about technologies that really succeed. At first, everyone talks about them. They are new. They are visible, and because they are still unusual, simply being associated with them can make a company look more advanced than it really is. Then time passes. The technology spreads. People learn how to use it. Competitors catch up. And what once looked extraordinary slowly becomes part of the background. Electricity went through something like this. There was a time when electrification itself was a selling point. Factories advertised it, cities competed over it, and having access to electric power could genuinely separate one business from another. Today, no company introduces itself by saying that it runs on electricity. It would sound ridiculous. Not because electricity became unimportant, but because it became too important to remain a category of its own. The internet followed a similar path. In the late 1990s, calling yourself an internet company could almost define the business. Today, that tells us practically nothing. A bank uses the internet. So does a hospital, a supermarket, an airline, and a small engineering company. We do not call all of them internet companies because at some point the internet stopped being the product and became part of the environment in which products were built. AI may eventually go through the same change. Right now, the words still have power. A company says it has added AI to its product and people pay attention. Investors want to know what the AI strategy is. Products that would once have been called automation tools or software assistants are suddenly introduced as AI platforms. That makes sense for the moment, because AI is still visible as a separate thing. But suppose the technology keeps spreading. Suppose good models become easier to access. The differences between them become smaller, and companies can replace one model with another without rebuilding everything around it. At that point, saying we use AI may not sound impressive anymore. It may sound as ordinary as saying we use the internet.
Part 2. When intelligence becomes common.
And once that happens, the interesting question will no longer be whether a company has access to intelligence. Most of its competitors probably will as well. What will matter is what the company managed to build around it. A hospital, for example, does not become better simply because it has access to a powerful model. The real difference appears only when that model fits into clinical work without creating more problems than it solves. When doctors can trust the output, when the right information reaches the system at the right time, and when someone has decided where the model should stop and a human should take over. The same is true in engineering. Having access to an excellent model is one thing. Knowing where to place it, inside a real design process, what information it should see, how its output should be checked, and when it should be ignored, is something else entirely. That difference becomes more important as the models themselves become easier to obtain. Today, we still talk as if intelligence belongs to the model. But useful intelligence may belong much more to the system that surrounds it. A general model does not know a company the way the company knows itself. It did not build the internal database. It does not have years of experience with the customers, and it has not spent 20 years learning the small details of an industry that rarely appear in public data. A better model does not suddenly make those things disappear. If anything, they may become more valuable. Once everyone can buy roughly the same engine, the advantage moves to the rest of the car.
Part 3. The value moves into the system.
Well, and that could produce a future which looks quite different from the AI economy people imagine today. We may not end up with a world dominated by a small number of obvious AI companies. Instead, ordinary companies may quietly become better at what they already do. A logistics company could route goods more efficiently without advertising the model behind the system. An engineering team might reach a workable design much faster while the customer sees nothing, except a better product delivered sooner. Software may simply become easier to use, and after a while nobody will care whether that improvement came from a large language model, a smaller specialized system, or something that has not been invented yet. By then, AI could be everywhere and still feel less visible than it does today. That sounds strange only while we still think of AI as a product. Once it becomes part of the infrastructure, the idea is much easier to understand. When electricity works, nobody thinks about the grid while turning on a lamp. When the internet works, we open a page without wondering which network carried the data to us. Infrastructure usually becomes visible when it stops working. AI could reach a similar stage. If the technology becomes reliable enough, cheap enough, and easy enough to put inside ordinary systems, people may stop asking which model a product uses. They will care whether the product works. Companies may also stop putting AI powered on everything, because eventually the phrase may no longer separate one product from another. Investors could begin asking a different question as well, not simply whether a business uses AI, but what the business can actually do with it, whether customers care, and whether a competitor can reproduce the same thing easily. From the outside, that could look like AI losing some of its importance. The word may appear less often. Some companies built entirely around today's AI excitement may disappear, and features that currently get their own launch events may become ordinary parts of software. But none of that would necessarily mean that AI had failed. It could mean exactly the opposite.
Part 4. The Invisible Victory.
The internet did not lose because companies stopped putting internet enabled on their products. Electricity did not lose when electrification stopped being something businesses advertised. Those technologies became so deeply built into the economy that separating them from everything else stopped making much sense. AI could end up there too. It may not remain a separate industry, sitting above everything else. Instead, it could slowly become part of ordinary products and systems. Hospital might use it without thinking of itself as an AI hospital. An engineering tool could depend heavily on it without putting AI powered on the front page. A bank might use it in hundreds of small places that customers never even notice. If that happens, the line between AI and not AI will start to matter less. AI may become most important when people stop talking about it as something separate. That is the strange way some technologies win. They do not remain the center of attention. Eventually, they become part of everything else.
That concludes the 4 parts of the future of AI as an invisible infrastructure.